Is $9.25 sufficient to live on? I would doubt it.
The current minimum wage in the state sits at $9.25, but change is coming.
The changes that are happening right now in the legislature are frankly unconstitutional.
A previous Michigan Senate bill proposed to increase the minimum wage in the state to $12 an hour by the year 2022. But last week it changed to push that deadline to 2030, with the minimum wage instead being $12.05. Republican Senator Rick Jones voted in favor of extending the time period because he thinks 2022 is too close.
I think extending it out a little bit helps businesses survive.
On the other side of the aisle, Democrat Curtis Hertel Jr.
They're going to postpone the implementation of the minimum wage.
Thinks differently.
I think the answer is 2022, but I don't know.
He sees pushing the deadline back as a way for Republicans to potentially avoid increasing the wage at all.
It's going to end up in the courts, and I think they will lose.
Senator Hertel thinks because the public didn't have a major input on when the new wage should start, lawsuits are going to come about, but Senator Jones isn't worried.
Let them have it.
A $12 wage determined by the people.
We talked to different businesses and said, what will keep the jobs flowing? And these are the numbers that they came up with.
The numbers he's referring to are more than just an hourly wage.
Usually when we think about increasing the minimum wage, we want to know what's going to be the effects on people.
Stephen Hayter is a labor economics professor at Michigan State University and believes raising the minimum wage will affect Michigan's youth more than the families living off $9.25 an hour.
Most people earning the minimum wage are teenagers. Teenagers aren't usually on their own.
Like MSU sophomore Brendan Witt, who has worked many minimum wage jobs.
I didn't like it at the time. Looking back on it, I understand why I deserve to be paid minimum wage.
Because he says he wasn't doing skilled work. Freshman Allie Peak agrees.
I think that it's impossible to live on $9.25, especially when you're trying to raise a family. However, you're not supposed to be working at minimum wage as a career.
The state's current minimum wage for bartenders and servers sits at $3.52. There was talk of giving those jobs the $12 minimum wage increase as well, but it came with concerns.
Waiters and waitresses get $12 an hour. A lot of people aren't going to tip them.
Instead, $4.58 was the final number.
You know, a customer comes in, they know you're getting paid $12 an hour, they're going to be way less likely to tip you. You know, $5, they might tip you $1.
Which in the long run would leave her walking out with less money.
Average during the summer, I made a minimum of $32 an hour.
At Shapler Coffee House in East Lansing, workers get less than minimum wage, but they get tips, which puts them over the current $9.25.
Per shift, I would say about $12.75.
For bartenders and servers in the state, even on a slow day, they don't have to worry about not reaching that $9.25.
You are guaranteed, as a tipped wage person, to get the minimum wage.
That's because the owner has to fill that gap if the worker's earned tips doesn't reach the minimum wage.
And you get taxed on up to minimum wage for your tips.
And if businesses had to pay employees more, the prices of products and services could potentially increase too.
Well, it doesn't come from nowhere.
Rick Pruce owns Pruce Pets and doesn't see how he can keep his prices where they are now while increasing the wages of his 65 employees.
Would I love to be paying all of my staff members $15 an hour as a minimum? Absolutely. Would I be out of business if I did that? Yes, I would.
For Shapler owner Tay An, he's only raised his prices twice since opening.
When there was a price increase, consumers noticed right away.
So increasing the pay of workers to $12 an hour could potentially push customers away due to higher prices. But moving that deadline back gives businesses more time to make a plan on how to keep consumers in the door.
The business side of me says 2030 would work out more effectively.
Those extra years.
I understand why they've chosen what they've done. I can't tell you exactly why they chose these specific numbers.
Senator Jones says those 8 additional years, like the new wage proposal, was thought of by the people.
We sat down with different business groups and we said what will work.
But at the end of the day, there's only so much the people can do.
Do we want politicians constantly playing politics with this and making those decisions? Or should we set what actually is a reasonable living wage?
In Lansing, Tony Black, Focal Point News.